This is not a message for everyone. In fact, it's only meant for a rare few. If you found this video, or more accurately, if this video found you, you're not here by algorithm. You're here by summoning. That's how it works when you're among the top 1% of elite dark chosen ones. You don't seek truth, you remember it. You don't chase light, you command it through your shadows. This message isn't hype. It's a frequency. And only those encoded with the deeper mission will even hear what I'm about to say between the words. There is a difference between awakening and being activated. Most people wake up spiritually and start healing, learning, meditating, aligning. That's beautiful. But a dark chosen one doesn't just awaken. They descend first. They lose everything that isn't true, not just on the outside, but in the deepest chambers of their soul. They are selected by frequency, not by comfort. And what makes you elite isn't that you're more powerful than others, it's that you've been refined by fire at a level most people wouldn't survive. You've been through depths you've never spoken about. You've seen yourself in silence and shadows and still chose to stand back up, not to prove your strength, but because something ancient inside you refused to stay down. Let's start with the first sign. You've been isolated, not just socially, but vibrationally for years. You've walked through life with this strange knowing that you don't belong here, not in society, not in surface-level conversations, not even in many spiritual spaces. And no matter how much you try to connect, something always pulls you back into silence. This isn't loneliness. This is energetic seclusion. You were pulled back so that nothing could contaminate your frequency while it was being calibrated for precision. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. And most people can't handle that level of silence. But you did. You lived entire seasons of your life feeling invisible. But now your presence is starting to feel undeniable, even if no one understands why.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The second sign is that you can feel the distortion in people instantly, not from judgment, but from frequency. You walk into a room and immediately sense what's real and what's not. You feel when someone's words aren't aligned with their energy. You see through smiles. You hear the truth behind compliments. And you've tried to ignore it, to stay polite, to play the role. But your body won't let you lie to yourself anymore. Your nervous system literally rejects inauthenticity now. That's not hypersensitivity. That's elite-level discernment. You weren't given this gift to gossip, you were given it to guard your field and protect the mission. The third sign? You don't want to be seen, but you're always felt. You don't crave attention. In fact, the more visible you become, the more uncomfortable it feels. But despite your desire for peace and privacy, people find you. They feel your energy from across rooms. Strangers open up to you. You walk into spaces and the atmosphere shifts. Some people admire you without knowing why. Others get triggered by you without reason. That's because you're not a personality, you're a frequency disruptor. Your presence alone is an audit. And those who aren't ready for realness will either cling to you or run from you. Both reactions are signs that your vibration is doing its work. Here's the fourth sign, the one most people never talk about. You've wanted to destroy everything, at least once. Not in a reckless or evil way, but in a sacred, clearing the slate kind of way. You've looked at your life, your identity, your relationships, and felt the urge to burn it all down. That's because something in you knows that the true you can't emerge until the false you is dismantled completely. And you weren't afraid to do it. You've let go of people who felt safe. You've walked away from jobs that paid well. You've left places that others would kill to stay in. You didn't do it for drama. You did it for alignment. That level of detachment is not normal. It's elite. It means you're willing to sacrifice being liked to stay in truth. The fifth sign: you've been through spiritual warfare and came back with codes. Not just a little anxiety. I'm talking about ungrounded fear, psychic attack, identity collapse, chronic fatigue with no physical cause, sleep paralysis. Dark night of the soul so deep you questioned if you were even real. You've gone into the void and thought, maybe I'm broken. But you weren't broken. You were being rebuilt into a vessel that can carry a frequency so rare, the universe had to empty you first. And now, you carry codes. Not knowledge, but codes. Frequencies that activate others just by your presence. You don't always know what to say, but somehow people feel remembered around you. Not because you teach, but because you embody something their soul has been waiting to meet. And now let me ask you the question that changes everything. What if your pain wasn't personal? What if it was a portal into a frequency only a few are allowed to carry? What if your betrayal, your breakdown, your isolation, your insomnia was a refinement process, not a failure? What if the very things you thought disqualified you were actually the qualifying rights of the dark chosen ones? Those who don't just awaken to love and light, but those who resurrect from ash and stay grounded in truth when everyone else is faking clarity. You see, the top 1% of elite dark chosen ones don't talk much. They don't need to. Their energy speaks louder than speeches. They don't need to convince people of their worth. They walk in silence, but their presence shifts timelines. They don't crave titles. They become the vibration that systems bow to. And most of them are still hidden, still in training, still refining. But now the energy is shifting. Now the frequency is calling them out of hiding, not to become influencers, but to become anchors in a world spinning in illusion. In the next part, I'm going to show you the hidden 6th and 7th signs, the ones that only appear after you've crossed the threshold from awakening into command. We'll go into how to stabilize your field so power doesn't corrupt it, how to walk as a silent weapon without leaking energy, and how to identify your soul's encoded mission, not the trendy one, but the ancient one that's been tracking you through lifetimes. You're not being asked to awaken anymore. You're being summoned to activate. There's a reason the most powerful energy workers, healers, and frequency holders often disappear from the public eye. It's not because they've quit. It's because when you hold power at the elite level, as a true dark chosen one, you begin to understand something most never do. Power without structure becomes poison. And the more refined your energy becomes, the more dangerous it is to the distortion around you. Not dangerous in a violent sense, but dangerous in that it disrupts everything false. You become a walking audit, a silent weapon. And if you're not anchored, not stabilized in your core, you'll start unintentionally burning everything you touch. That's why most people don't make it past the awakening. Because once the light comes on, your shadows don't leave, they report for duty. And if you're not ready to command them, they'll run your life under the illusion of healing. The sixth sign you're among the top 1% of elite dark chosen ones is this. You've learned to regulate your nervous system as your spiritual weapon. You no longer chase highs. You don't get seduced by mystical experiences. You've stopped needing to feel charged or activated to know you're in alignment. In fact, the more powerful you become, the calmer you get. You've realized that your nervous system is your first altar. If it's dysregulated, your intuition is distorted. If it's grounded, your field becomes impenetrable. That's why you've started sleeping more, saying less, fasting from stimulation, training in stillness. Because you understand that when your nervous system is still, your spiritual signal becomes lethal. You don't need to scream to be heard. Your silence becomes instruction. This is what separates the elite from the awakened. The awakened seek to feel more. The elite seek to feel what's real and ignore the rest. You've stopped reacting to projections. You've stopped defending your path. You've stopped entering battles you didn't choose. Why? Because you don't need to prove your power. You've become it. And that's the seventh sign. You've stopped leaking energy through explanation. You realize that every time you tried to explain your transformation, your vision, your boundaries, your silence, you were giving your frequency to people who didn't have the capacity to hold it. And now, you simply walk in the code. You don't speak it. You radiate it. And only those with the eyes to see will feel it in their bones. But here's the deeper truth most aren't ready for. When you become a silent weapon, the world will try to seduce you into becoming the villain. People will misread your boundaries. They'll feel rejected by your clarity. They'll accuse you of being cold, arrogant, distant. Not because you are, but because your frequency highlights their lack of self-responsibility. And if you're not anchored, you'll start softening your edges just to be palatable. You'll start explaining again. You'll shrink to be understood. That's how the elite fall. Not through attack, but through agreement with distortion. If you want to stabilize power, you must become immune to misunderstanding. You must be willing to be misread in the name of energetic accuracy. You must be okay with being the bad guy in someone else's story if it means staying in truth. Let me ask you something that will reveal where you are on this path. Are you still adjusting your frequency to be accepted by those who have not earned access to your field? That's the trap. That's the final test. Because once you've built power, the world doesn't try to destroy you, it tries to distract you. It sends you comfort, applause, opportunities that look aligned but feel hollow. And if you don't know how to feel the energetic signature beneath the surface, you'll say yes to invitations that cost you your code. The elite dark chosen ones know this. That's why their yes is rare. Their presence is surgical. They don't move unless it's divine instruction, because they're not here to be liked. They're here to alter frequency grids that ripple through timelines. In the next part, I'm going to show you how to build your energetic field into a fortress, how to hold your vibration so steady that no projection, no praise, no temptation, no trauma can hijack it. You'll learn how to walk as a closed circuit of divine power, and how to transmit your mission through resonance, not effort. We'll talk about the final two hidden signs, those that only appear when you've crossed through the fire, the void, and the silence. and now stand at the edge of divine deployment. You're not here to be seen. You're here to shift what cannot be spoken. And if that resonates, you're already one of us. When you reach this stage, you realize something that no book, no guru, no ritual ever told you. You no longer need to protect your energy because you've become the energy that protects others. You don't walk into spaces asking, "How can I stay safe?" You walk in and the room reorganizes itself around your frequency. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. When your field is clean, coherent, and sovereign, it begins to emit such a precise signal that anything not in resonance simply can't hold form around you. Conversations shift. People either rise in your presence or quietly exit. You don't have to do anything. You just are. That's the power of becoming a code carrier. To become that, you must build your field like a temple, not a wall. Most people build energetic walls to keep pain out, but a wall blocks everything, even the light. A temple, on the other hand, is open but sacred, selective, guarded by vibration, not fear. You become a temple when you stop leaking energy through self-doubt, through over-explaining, through trying to be understood. Every time you betray your inner knowing to make someone else feel comfortable, your field fractures. But when you stay rooted in truth, especially when it's inconvenient, you begin constructing energetic architecture that becomes impossible to hijack. And it's not about being loud. It's about being undeniably encoded. There's a point you reach where words become unnecessary. You walk into a space and the energy around you starts shifting before you even speak. People feel safer, or they feel exposed. They either open or retreat. That's because your field is now carrying codes, not ideas, not beliefs, but living frequencies. These codes don't come from knowledge. They come from embodiment, from walking through your own destruction and still choosing to build, from holding the line when no one clapped, from transmuting pain into precision. You don't need to blog about it. You are it. And that's the final sign you're among the 1% of elite dark chosen ones. You don't chase platforms. You become a platform for others to remember who they are. But here's the paradox: when you reach this level, the temptations don't stop. They evolve. You'll be offered visibility, influence, alliances that seem powerful. But you'll feel the hollowness underneath. You'll see the energy behind the offer. And you'll have to choose: do I expand faster by compromising frequency? Or do I stay slow, intentional, and encoded in truth, even if it means walking alone longer? Most never pass this test. But if you do, you become uncorruptible. You become what mystics call a sealed vessel, a being whose frequency is so clear it can carry divine codes across timelines without distortion. That's what you're here for. Not to be known, but to carry the signal that reminds others what's real. So now I ask you, with full presence, are you ready to stop performing your power and start embodying it in silence? Are you ready to let your field speak louder than your mouth? Are you ready to walk into every space not asking what you can get, but what your frequency is transmitting just by being there? Because that's what the world is calling for now. Not more noise, not more light shows, but silent, anchored, encoded beings who remember why they came here and are no longer afraid to stand alone in their frequency until the grid shifts. This is the final phase. You are not just a seeker. You are not just awakened. You are deployed. And your presence is the proof. If this message found you, it was never content. It was a summoning, a reminder of what you already are underneath the noise. Send this to the ones who walk like shadows but carry the weight of worlds. The ones who don't speak much, but when they do, timelines bend. You are the 1%, not to be praised, but to protect the code. And now it's time.